Hey guys, it's Josie, and today I wanted to show you how to make this DIY zero waste tote bag. Now, it is a pretty decent size and the straps are pretty long. Because of the way that I'm going to show you how to make it, it is going to last a very long time, and it is also double lined. There are some things that I added to it to make it a little more structural, I guess, and last a little bit longer. So some of the steps you can skip. For example, I added this squareness to the bottom so that if you have something in there, it can sit flat, but you don't have to do that at all. It is totally optional. And then for the straps, I also added a crisscross pattern so that they are going to stay super secure for however long you use this tote bag. And again, you don't have to do that. I made one a few years back that I did not, and it is still holding up really well over how many times I've used it. So it's just personal preference, but I am gonna show you how I did it if you want to do it as well. And let's just get right into the video. To make this tote bag, you'll need some fabric. This is a yard by 44 inches, a clear ruler, a rotary cutter or scissors, and if you're using a rotary cutter, you should also have a cutting mat underneath. I'm also using this old tote bag that I made as a reference, but there are a lot of things that I'm going to change on it. For example, this one is not double lined, and the straps are a lot thinner, and it's just a smaller bag, so I'm pretty much only going to use it for the height of the bag. This is another picture of the fabric up close, just so you can see the measurements if you want to take a screenshot. And I just unrolled it a little bit, not all the way. I left it so that it is still folded in half once, and you do not want to cut off the end because we are going to use that as part of our straps. So as I mentioned, I just wanted to use my old tote bag as a height reference, and I did go a little bit off from this because I wanted to make sure that the straps were going to be 4 inches of fabric that I could fold in half enough times to make a seamless strap and to make a strap that the frayed edges weren't going to be out. So here I'm just measuring how long that it's going to be, and I did have to end up going at a 1/2 inch measurement, but that is because my fabric ended at 1/2 inch with the white strip included on the side. After that, I just move my clear ruler so that it is straight up and down, and then I cut out that side strip, which is for the straps, and this big part of the fabric is going to be for the tote bag itself. So here is the fabric for the straps, and I'm just going to set it off to the side for now. Again, I did not remove any part of the fabric because it'll just be tucked inside the strap. And then I am folding the bigger piece of fabric in half again, and this is going to be roughly the size of our tote bag. So I just wanted to make it as straight as possible, and we're going to sew around all of the different sides. So I'm taking it to my sewing machine. Now you can hand sew this if you want to, but I just like using my sewing machine because it's faster and I feel like it will last a lot longer than hand sewing, but that is just my personal preference. So I am taking the folded edge and leaving it at the bottom so I don't have to sew anything on the bottom of the bag, and I am going to sew from the bottom of the bag where the folded edge is to the top where the unfolded edge is, and that is the opening of the bag. So I'm sewing from the bottom to the top just so that it stays even and I don't end up with a uneven bottom to my tote bag and everything stays nice and in line. If you have less fabric or you just decided you didn't want to double line your tote bag, this is when you want to make sure that the good side of the fabric with the print or pattern that looks the best is on the inside and the wrong side of the fabric is on the outside. Since we double lined this, we do not have to worry about it. We just have to pick which side needs to go on the inside and make sure that we don't change the way that we are sewing everything together. Here is the first side that we have sewn, and I didn't realize that the stitch length on my sewing machine was set to 1. Usually I would put it on 3-ish around there, but I decided that I'm just going to leave it on stitch length 1 until we get to sewing the straps, and I change it to stitch length 2. It doesn't necessarily matter as long as the stitches are not coming apart and you cannot, stick something through them. So this is just going to be a little bit more secure, but again, the stitch length doesn't really matter since it only really goes up to 4. The seam will be closed anyway. Now I'm going to repeat the sewing on the other side of the tote bag, and for this side I had to make the seam a little bit farther into the bag because this is the side where almost all of the raw edges are facing out, so they don't all align perfectly on this side, which is totally okay. I just had to make sure that I was sewing all the pieces of fabric together and I didn't miss any. I'm also cutting off the extra fabric on the side because this is a gift for a friend. Normally I wouldn't do that and I would just leave it like that, but I don't want the fabric to fray too much, and again, I'm giving this to a friend, so I want to make sure that it is pretty well made. Moving on to the fabric we have set aside for the straps, I did not cut off this white end of the fabric or the other side where it is made so that the fabric will not fray on you. I just left it because those are going to be inside the straps and it just provides extra fabric for the straps to be a little bit thicker, and it will also not be seen, so it doesn't really matter if they're on or not. If you want to cut them off, you can, but like I said, I wanted the straps to be a little bit thicker, so I made sure to leave them, and you can see here that they will be tucked in onto the inside, so nobody will see them, and again, it doesn't matter if you cut them off or not. So I'm just folding down both sides of the strip of fabric and then folding it in half one more time so all of the raw edges are on the inside, and then I am going to use a couple of clips to hold it together. I like using the clips more than the pins just because I can remove them a little bit faster, or a lot of times I just leave them in. As long as I am not sewing over top of them, I can leave them, but these ones I just placed a few along the end of the strap so that I can make sure that the fabric doesn't move or shift in any way, and the strap will stay exactly how I have it folded here. Now that one strap is all sewn together along the side, I'm just going to repeat that process again to make the second strap, and it will be the exact same process as the one before. Now that both of the straps are done, we are going to fold over and hem the top of the tote bag, and I am going to put these straps inside to make sure that they are extra secure. On the bag I made a few years ago, I did not do this, and again, it still works fine for as long as I've used it, but I just wanted to make sure that all of the raw edges are tucked inside, so I'm folding down the top of the bag twice, and then I am going to clip the straps into place underneath so that I can sew along the edge, and they will just get sewn right into the hem of the top of the bag. I'm also clipping the straps into place to make sure that they are even on both sides of the bag, and I don't have to worry about them moving around when I'm sewing all the way around the top of the bag. Now the straps are sewn in and the top of the bag is hemmed, but we are still working on the inside of the bag, so I am just going to flip the straps upward and sew along the top as well so that they are the right direction for when you are carrying the tote bag. And you can just do another stitch right across the top, but I wanted to make this a little more secure, like I said in the beginning, so I'm going to make the little box with the X in the middle just to make sure it is super secure, and it just adds a little more detail. So here is what the strap looks like, and it is now facing the right way. So this is the box with the X in the middle that I was talking about, and I'm just going to repeat the same thing on the rest of the straps. After all of these straps are sewn into place to face the right direction, we are going to add one more detail to the bottom of the bag, and again, this is totally optional, but at the very bottom corners, we are going to make a straight line across so that it can sit flat because the bottom of the bag will be squared off. So I'm just pinching the corner so that it's laying with the seam down the middle, and I'm just sewing a straight line across, and however squared you want the bag to be is how far in you make this line. So I'm going to repeat the process on the other side of the bag as well, and then you can cut off those bottom corners if you would like, but I did just leave mine. And then finally you can turn the bag right side out and see how it looks all together. So here is what the final bag looks like. You can see the bottom is squared off, and then it is a pretty decent size, and the straps are decently long, and you can make them shorter if you would like, but I just used the entirety of the fabric that I had. And then here is it on my cutting mat so you can get a better idea of what the actual size of the bag is. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see more, you can like and subscribe down below, or leave a comment on what you want to see next, and have a nice day!